Hello everybody, welcome back to Automation, the car company tycoon game, and later on in the video, of course, beamng.drive. Today we're going to be building a mini K truck. It's going to be 660cc, and this is going to be based on a comment that I got with a challenge. If you got one, leave one down below, please. That'd be cool. I might not do all of them if I get a lot. Sorry. Anyways, basically the comment is by just a JJ Cat. The challenge is 660cc K-car micro truck, at least 70 horsepower and under 1,000 kilograms. This is the body we're going to be using. It's going to be 1970. That's going to be the year we got for this, and let's go, I suppose. So we can start off with probably a steel panel material. That seems reasonable. Of course, we want to keep this real cheap. It's not really in the challenge, but that's what we're going to do anyways, because we want this to be slightly realistic. Steel chassis material as well, monocoque chassis. Front longitudinal, because we want it to be rear-wheel drive, of course. And we're going to go for a solid axle leaf suspension front and rear. Before we continue on with the engine, I just wanted to say that for this challenge, I am also actually going to make two different versions than the base model of this K truck, and you'll see them when we import them into beamng, because stay tuned for that, because I can tell you already, one of them is going to be absolutely insane. And then let's create a new engine right here, and we're going to have an inline 4 for this. Right now it's too big, but that's fine because we want it to be 660cc. That can be a little bit bigger, maybe 64 on that, and then let's see what we can get this down to. 660cc, there we go, exactly. That's perfect how we want it, and we've got enough space for rear-wheel drive. This is just going to be cast iron, and we're going to go push rod on this because it is 1970. If it was 1985, it might be a different. 1980s, it might be different, but it's 1970s, so we're going to go with push rod still. Then we're going to move on. So this is all just going to be cast. It's a really small engine, so we're going to be able to rev pretty high anyways. So that should be fine, right? Because we're not going to get any other balancing mass like this, we will up that to maybe 60. Then we'll touch all that later. It's going to be, of course, naturally aspirated. I think still carburetor makes sense, especially for cheapness. And we're not going to make it injection. Yeah, so maybe, I think, yeah, single barrel twin carb, probably. Then we can maybe even actually decrease the size of that slightly. We're going to go for a compact intake manifold and then increase the size of that slightly. We're obviously not going to be running on super. We're just going to put this on regular. We'll make the ignition timing slightly more advanced, and then we'll head on to here. So as for the headers, yeah, sure, cast low should be fine. Then we'll probably need to increase the size a bit. You can stop, thanks. Okay, so the exhaust single, I mean, we probably don't need a big exhaust at all. No catalytic converter, apparently. I'm not sure why that isn't an option, but it's going to be none and baffled. It might have to do with something I chose here. If I increase this, does it? I don't know. I'll have to figure out how to somehow add a catalytic converter to this. But right now, we'll still need to make that 70 horsepower. So if we finish the engine, it's got now a catalytic converter, like it actually has it. You can check graph, please. Oh, thank you. You can check that stuff here. Everything. So 70.0 horsepower, we rev it to 5,800. That is, you can check the top end over here, tweaked it too. We have a really high compression. So yeah, basically that's that. Now let's move on with the rest of the car. So we're going to do the designing of this once we've finished everything else. This is going to be called, though, the Kimiyoshi. That's basically my Japanese car brand name. And then the Nami, which I believe translates in Japanese to wave. So that's pretty cool. And then we'll just do something random here, like A2. That should probably be fine. You know, we're going to go for a longitudinal rear wheel drive on this thing. I'm going to make it a manual 4-speed, I reckon is fair. 97 is the top speed. I reckon we'll have a bit of a higher top speed. Eventually, well, we'll have a higher top speed eventually. Maybe a bit more spacing in that. There we go. I think yeah, we're gonna give it a manual locker. So it maybe has some slight off-road capabilities. They don't usually have that, but it's fine. It's fine. We're gonna go for a cross-fly utility tires, and these are pretty small, but you know, probably kind of fine. Maybe we can decrease that because this thing's gonna be so light. I can already tell you guys it's gonna oversteer. Maybe just increase the size very slightly on that. And you know, that looks pretty good to me, to be honest. Now we can move on. I think maybe solid disc. I now know why I was confused. This needs to be the year 1976. That's what I tested this thing in, so I was really confused, like very much. That's probably also why we didn't have the catalytic converters earlier. So we've changed it now. Okay, confusion is gone. Front is going to be 220. It's going to be extremely front biased. And now something I also forgot to mention earlier was the fact that because of the way this body is with this front here, we're going to have a front engine. I really wish there was a body that was like before 1985 that just cut it off here. You know, that'd be really cool, and then we could put in a rear engine. We can't fit in a rear engine anyways, so yeah, that's basically why that is, and that's also why, as I'm explaining now, it's going to be extremely front biased. So that's why we'll need really good brakes in the front, and well, we won't really need that good brakes in the rear. Anyways, as for this, we're just going to go none, obviously there. No active aero. Something I'm going to do is actually reduce this probably to 41, because that's when we'll still, like, the game won't complain about the fact that we have little cooling, but it does just reduce the drag, which is nice. And then we want a bit more brake airflow, I reckon. Anyways, a weird thing about this body is that it's actually a soft top. You can see that by the default texture of, well, color texture of the bed here. As you can see, the bed is it's soft top. Obviously, we're gonna change the paint on that, but it's a soft top for some reason. So we'll just go for a detachable soft top, I guess. Because these are small, if it was an American thing, I'd put in a bench, but it's just gonna be two. Anyways, as for the interior, I'm just gonna go for basic, and then for entertainment, I'm not gonna put in an 8-track. Basic AM radio, that's the best you're gonna get in this. Want to keep it nice and cheap, you feel me? As for this right over here, manual recirculating ball seems fine. Won't need anything better than that. Basic 70s safety, you know, that's kind of decent safety still. I'm not going to go back to 1960s because it is 76 and not early 70s. So yeah, anyways, that's not going to do anything with that because that doesn't change anything in BeamNG. Probably just going to go standard twin tube and passive there. And then I think this maybe just raise it up a tiny bit. I think that's fine. Then we'll tune the suspension maybe just for normal, and then it's gonna put it down at the bottom again. Okay. That should probably be fine. As you can see, I'm glad we decreased the size of the front tires because it's almost oversteering. It just isn't. We have a lot of issues, but that's fine. We weigh 601 kilograms. We have 70 horsepower. Um, so that's also great. And I forgot what the rest of the challenge was. Let me check that maybe. Hold on. So 660cc, we have that K car micro truck. That is what this is. And at least 70 horsepower under 1,000 kilograms. Perfect. Anyways, now all we need to do is just design this thing, and then we can import this into beamng. Here it is, the Kimyoshinami A2, and I really hope you guys enjoyed that time lapse. Anyways, we can start over at the front here. We got these square but circular headlights, which I quite like. Got a front grille here for the front engine. You usually don't see front grills on these, well, or at least large ones, but as I explained earlier, that's because most of them are rear engine, ours is front engine. Sadly, we got a bit of a secondary front grille over here, which is the same color as the bumper, which connects to the blinkers and the plate. This reddish color, well, actually it's almost salmon, goes all the way around here. Wheels are white. I kind of like that a lot. And there we go. Moving over here, we got some things here on the bed. I don't know exactly what they are, but I like the look of them. So yeah, that's cool. Anyways, we got some lines on the body here as well, which I quite like, and we got this indent here too. The back is kind of busy, so we got a tow hitch, some mud flaps, then we got these two basically just normal rear lights. Usually I make custom lights, but that's if I make like a 2020 modern car and I put in LEDs and stuff, and for this we just basically basic lights is all we need. Then I used some reference images, and I actually saw some things with like a collection of tags and the logo just on one corner. And I actually kind of like that, so I did that here. Then we got a kind of key thing, I don't know, latch as well for the back here, which I did change the color of. And then we just got a plate here too. Oh, and we've also got these boxes, these utility boxes here on the sides as well. So that's pretty cool. Always, as usual, please let me know what you think of this. I really want your constructive criticism. I'd appreciate that a lot, because then I can improve my builds for you guys, so that would be nice. Anyways, this, you can actually download this too, as well as the two other versions we'll look at in beamng in a second. you can download them through the link in my description, which will take you to my Discord server. And in my Discord server, you can find the download links for this version, the other two versions you're about to see, as well as any other cars I've ever made. And even if you don't want to download them, still consider joining my Discord server. Anyways, let's go over to beamng. This is the Kimiyachi Nami A2, which is the base model. And now, right before we drive this, as promised, we of course have two other versions. One is to my left, and you can see a difference quite a way. It's not really as exciting as you might think. On my right, however, we have another version, and that one is definitely as exciting as you might think. Anyways, we're going to take this one for a quick drive first, and then we'll take a look at the other ones. So this one drives pretty nice. It handles real well too. Well, probably the reason why it handles well is because it's not fast. Our top speed is 150 kilometers an hour. If we're on a straight, it's almost impossible to actually reach that. However, we're going to be going downhill in a second. So then you'll see it goes through the first two gears reasonably fast, and then, well, now we're going downhill, so it's not really accurate. But then after that, it really slows down the acceleration, which is actually perfectly fine. That's kind of basically what you want. As I said, this is the A2. This is just the base model. We're just going to go over the top here, and then you'll see that as we start going downhill, we will be able to reach the 150, and then that's our limit. No ABS, of course, but that's fine. Like, we realistically do not need it at all. Here you can once again see that we'll go pretty fast through the first two gears, and then after that the acceleration just really slows. Anyways, that's it for the base model, I guess. It's not too interesting. Okay, so we can move on to this one. This version is the AR version, and basically, although it has some pretty cool exhausts, that's kind of, that seems to be the tip of a snorkel right there. If we can zoom in, that is the tip of a snorkel. Okay, I'll remove that for the download, but for now I guess we'll have to do. So basically this has a slightly larger engine than the base model, and other than that there's not really a difference. Well, it's got all-terrain wheels, slightly larger. It's got the hood pipes, of course, I guess, although they don't work in beam, sadly. And the reason we're going off-road here is because this is the off-road spec. It is lifted by quite a bit, I believe, maybe around 4 inches or so. And it's got off-road tuned suspension, so that's basically what this is for. We can lock the rear diff here. Got a manually locking differential in the rear, just as the base model. It also has that. And basically, yeah, that's what this is basically just an off-road spec. And that's something that's kind of weird about this body. It's the fact that the wheels, they're limited to a really small size, which is too bad, but oh well. Anyways, now that we've totaled this thing, we can move on to this one. You can see this one revs a lot higher. This one has a different engine as a whole, not just a slightly better facelifted engine or whatever. Well, it's still got the same engine, but instead of 660cc, it is 990cc. And that's right, it has a turbo. Not even that big of a turbo. And it's not even that more expensive either. It's just incredibly fast because of how incredibly light this is. I think I said it earlier, but this car is like, well, this model is 800 kilograms, which is, I think that's maybe like 2,200 pounds. Maybe even less than 2,000. No, it's like 2,000 pounds. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Anyways, yeah, you can see right here that is definitely pretty fast. This one's a 5-speed too. Um, we have 0.9 bars of boost, so not even a whole bar, even though a bar is a lot, of course. But yeah, you can see that this thing is really fast. And I'll go over the changes on this thing, of course. So the main body is made red instead of the other color, and the red part at the bottom of the base body is now black. The wheels have been, well, the rims have been blacked out instead of the white color that we see on the base model. We've gotten black accents on most features around the bed here. We've gotten a thing to top off the bed as well, which is really dark in beam for some reason, which makes it look like a sort of void almost. The head bar on the back here is also being blacked out, and we've got a small spoiler on the end of our bed as well. We've got obviously a much larger dual exhaust down there, which is also pretty nice. And now this is the model that we're going to take onto the automation test track and go for a race in. I believe it understeers slightly, and now I crashed it slightly, but that's fine. Anyways, yeah, then at the front, it's got a slightly lower front grille. Obviously the entire vehicle is lowered a lot as well. We've got badging. If I zoom in a little bit, that's the most I can zoom in. Basically, we got some badging across there. It's got the turbocharged icon 2. Now I'm zooming out a lot. On the front over here, you can see that most of the front fascia is basically just being blacked out, and that's it. We've also gotten a nice addition of some extra headlamps over there. I don't know why we'd need those. I thought it'd maybe look cool. Anyways, basically that's the difference between the two. Once this thing has reached the top, we'll take it over to the automation test track and see what kind of a time we can get in this thing. I am really excited because, yeah, I actually really like this. Oh yeah, one change I forgot to mention was that these utility boxes here, it only has one, and it's being shortened. Basically, that's not really interesting, but that's why we're going to take it over to the track now. Also, some things I forgot to mention about this version of the car is that it's actually, um, it's got a geared, a limited slip differential instead of an automatic locker. It's got ABS, and it's got the thickest tires this body can have. You can move the fenders out more, but it doesn't actually allow for thicker tires, sadly. So, you know, these are the thickest we can get. And yeah, I probably missed something, but that's fine because you guys can download it. Anyways, enough ranting. I guess let's go for it. Here we are. Got a pretty good launch there. I'm gonna want to watch out because the brakes aren't the best. We also have the biggest brakes possible fitted on this thing, and that could have been a lot smoother. But oh well, I guess. Oh dear. Okay. I could be doing this better, but I'm not really. So, gonna need to make up for that later in the lap, I guess. So that's fine. Also, for the ones of you who don't know, this has recently been refreshed, revamped, updated, whatever you want to call it. So it'll look a lot better, especially the water will. That's something you might notice. Whilst we're driving around here, it's not like the actual circuit has been changed or anything. It's just been updated, look a lot nicer, stuff like that. Going really fast here, we have very little downforce, so you can tell that the front is lifting up quite high there. We touched the 250 kilometers an hour mark there, so that's pretty cool. Back in a fifth here. Slowing down maybe a bit too early for this. I underestimated the brakes because beamng was almost having a whole tantrum. Automation was almost having a whole tantrum about how bad the brakes were, but apparently they're not that bad. Probably want to start braking here. Oh wow, that was timed really well. I'm really proud of myself for that. Wow, okay. Oh, taking this turn a bit too fast, I think. That's fine though. Now we're on the inside here. That's going to give us, well, not really perfect, but oh well. Not at all perfect. Basically approaching the last turn here. I believe this is the second to last one that we've got, so. And there we are. Slid a bit there. This turn's really sharp. I underestimated how sharp it would be. Anyways, we can just go on the last part here. And there we are. That's a 222, and that's really good. Now, with the update of the map, all my previous times got removed, sadly. But you know, that's fine, I guess. Right, we now have the second to best time on this map, which is something I'm pretty happy with. Anyways, guys, right now, yeah, thank you ever so much for watching. Remember, you can download the cars or just join my Discord anyways. Link is in the description. And I hope to see you again in the next one. Bye-bye.